So, you've decided to move to a new city. Great! Moving to a new city can be easy, even if you don't have a lot of money. In this video, I'm going to give you some tips on how I did it that will help make your move an easy transition. Now, I know moving to a new city can be very exciting, but it can also be stressful. So I want to encourage you to stay positive, be confident, and always be safe. Now, let's get you prepared for your new journey with these 3 simple steps. Step 1, find shelter immediately. You don't want to waste your money on motels and hotels. So here are a few tips that can help you with that. First, let me encourage you, if you've lived in a lot of different places, and I encourage you to make a list of the last 10 years of places that you've lived with the address, contact, and telephone number. It's going to come in handy, especially if you're looking for jobs. Sometimes they'll want the last 10 years for that. Now, some of you will move into an apartment immediately, and that's great. But if you don't want to sign a lease, try a month-to-month. With a month-to-month, you're not locked into anything. So after you're in the city for a while, you may decide you don't want to live in that neighborhood anymore. So that is something to consider, as well as a short-term lease. Also, for those of you that can't move into an apartment immediately, there's always a roommate share in a home or an apartment, as well as renting a room in a home or an apartment. Now listen up, ladies. There are places that are called women's residencies where for weekly rent you can get room and board, and in some places even a meal. And lastly, everyone knows if you're lucky you can crash with a friend or family member if they're there in your new city. But you don't want to wear out your welcome, so I encourage you, once you get settled, to hit the ground running, which brings us to step number 2. Here are some tips on how to find a place. Now, I know there are tons of websites out there, but the one that worked the best for me was Craigslist. Now, this is where being safe comes into play. If you find yourself in a neighborhood that doesn't feel safe, or if you meet with a person that's renting the apartment or a roommate share and something just doesn't feel right, get out of there. You'll be able to find an apartment. It's better to be safe than to be sorry. Also, try your local newspaper. Sure, I know it's a dinosaur, but they still offer apartments for rent. That is something to consider. Another thing is, if you find yourself in a neighborhood that you like, look up, check the doors. Sometimes they'll have signs in the windows that say they're looking to rent a room or they're looking to rent an apartment. Another thing, if you see someone coming out of the building, ask them, do you know if there are any apartments for rent in the building? Sometimes they'll be able to tell you if they are, and sometimes they'll be able to tell you if someone is looking for a roommate within that building. Another thing to consider, shop owners often know what's going on that street. So you can go up to them and find out if they know anyone that could help you with that. Another thing to do is check out your local laundromat in the neighborhood or the grocery store. Check for bulletin boards. Oftentimes the locals will put something on there that they're looking for a roommate or to rent their apartment. And lastly, check out free events. It's a great way to meet people, learn something new, and also get to know your city, which brings us to step number 3. Location. So here are some tips on how to choose a good location. Now, if you don't have a car, you're probably going to have to take public transportation. Here are some things that I would avoid. Paying a double fare, paying and then having to transfer. Also, a 10 or 15-minute walk to get to public transportation. Depending on the city you choose, it could be very hot or very cold. So you want to take that into consideration. Also, if you live in a residential area, coming home late at night, a 10 or 15-minute walk may not be the best idea. Another thing to consider is to make sure that in your neighborhood that within walking distance there is a grocery store, restaurants, laundromat, and you may even need a liquor store. So, again, time is money, and you are going to want to save on both. I'm certain with these 3 simple steps, there is some information in there to help you get started. Look for my next video where I'll be giving you more information to help you get settled in your new city. If you like the information that I've just given you, do a like, share, or comment.